Hey guys, Chris again, classicvwbugs.com, and in this video, we're going to go over some auction results, and I've got some surprising results in here for you, and not so surprising results. Some things stayed pretty status quo, comparing up against last year, but there were some surprising results in the Mecum, the Barrett-Jackson, and the 1RM auctions that had our beloved Volkswagens crossing the block. Like I said last time, January is usually a good time to see what the year is going to look like when it comes to auctions and the market for our classic Volkswagens in general. I know some people are like, why are we talking about stuff like this? I think in the grand scheme of things, you should have a general idea of where the market is if you own one of these cars, because sometimes down the line you might want to sell your car. And it's always good to have a good understanding of what's going on in the marketplace. So, guys, if you get any sort of value out of my videos, please be sure to like, subscribe. I always hate saying that because I'm not here to put a gun to your head and do that. But most of the viewers who are watching my videos are actually not subscribers. So it does help the channel if you could do that. Also, I have implemented something really cool and new into the channel, and that is book a call with me. Down below in the description box below this video, there is a link to a calendar where you can actually book a call with me. Do you have a problem with your Volkswagen? Are you in your garage and you don't know what steps to take next for your classic Beetle? Do you need help with restorations? Do you need help with color combinations? Do you need help with any sort of aspect of, say, repairing your Volkswagen? Give me a shout, man. I've already been taking calls from people all over the world, from Poland to the Netherlands to Canada. It's pretty damn cool. And you can schedule a call with me. Link in the description below this video. And guys, I'm here to help you out as much as I can. So, without further ado, let's look at the auction results. January 2025, Scottsdale, Kissimmee, Florida, and see what's going on with our beloved Volkswagens. Okay, so I figure we would cover Mecum first. And Mecum had a bunch of Volkswagens. There was 3 pages at least of Volkswagens that were crossing the auction block for January. And some surprises right here. If you take a look, I did sort it right now to the highest bid car that crossed Mecum. Now understand, Mecum is very much centered around muscle cars, American muscle. So the European stuff in general does okay. You see some surprises here. And the one big surprise is this 79 Volkswagen Beetle convertible for 71.5. Now, what this is an unrestored factory original, probably sat in a dealership all these years. It's one of those cars. So if you click on that, it's a beautiful color, of course, and it's got very low mileage on it. Pros and cons to a car like this, right? Like if it's got such low mileage, do you even drive it? Do you want to put miles on it? It's one of those cars that probably will still sit in the collection because the more they figure the more mileage you put on it, the the devaluing will happen once you put miles on the car, right? But a very pretty car, I gotta say. I mean, that's a very nice color. Screams bug all around, and nice wheels on it. I definitely like still the slotted wheel with the VW hubcap on the Volkswagens. I know in these years they had the other option with the other wheel and the small little nub, black nub VW nub on it. This is pretty cool though. So we've seen a few of these come across the block over the past few years, and you can tell that there is a desire for these unrestored examples, even though they're the late model, the fuel injection with the big padded dash, that kind of thing. To many Volkswagen aficionados, a lot of people still like the 67 and earlier, that kind of thing. My interest is very much the 70 and earlier, but since my shop has opened up to repair work in New York, and we do a lot of repair work now, guys. So if you do need your Volkswagen repaired, whether it's a Karmann Ghia, a Vanagon, a bus, Thing, Beetles, of course, anything air-cooled, even early 356 Porsches, we are repairing those cars now, guys. So we still do a little bit of restoration, but repair work has been taking over as far as the work in my shop in Congers, New York. So if you want to give us a shout and you need some repair work, 845-290-9900, or just pop me an email. But beautiful example here. I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, it's if you're into something like this that you want to have sit in your garage and just kind of cherish it, that kind of thing. Really, really cool. But what was the big surprise across the board, even with Barrett Jackson, were the buses, the Type 2s, right? And there's only one that I found that crossed 100,000, but that was not in Mecum, nor was that in Barrett Jackson. Now we saw a few years ago, and I even witnessed myself, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, a '62 bus, like kind of like this, but had the rag top and had all the windows to it, that kind of thing. And when I witnessed that in West Palm Beach, Barrett Jackson, it went for like $262,000, which was just insane. It's just a nutty, nutty price. But now you can see that they have dropped for sure. This only went for 62.7. And if we go back to the list here, now some of these again, those recreations or those AKA Brazilian buses that, hey, you want a good looking bus, you don't want to break the bank, that's a great option. But if we scroll down, you see most of them 60s, 50s, okay, 73, 74 bus, 71. So they're all either recreated or they're the Brazilian model. And so maybe there's a lot of those hitting the market now and maybe saturating things a little bit or kind of leveling off the playing field when it comes to these buses. But and then this was a little bit of a shock. That's 52 split window, 55,000. I think I pointed this one out. This one had a couple little discrepancies to it. The rib bumper, and then they had the ashtray on the dash that had the chrome bezel around it. That would not have been, the chrome bezel would not have been on a split window dash. So I don't know the whole story of this car, but it's a good looking split, by the way, and that's a pretty decent price for a split window. So 55,000 there. And if we keep scrolling down here, another big shocker was this 1970 Carmen Ghia auto stick that I noticed. That's a really, really good price for a Ghia convertible with this color combination and the auto stick transmission, which is to many people, the auto stick transmission is like a no-go, right? Um, Even though as rare as they are, they're not valued as high. Parts are a little problematic, a little tough to work on. Trying to find a local mechanic to work on an auto stick transmission for a vintage Volkswagen is kind of rare these days. Our shop does work on those, so if you did want to have your Ghia or Beetle or any air-cooled vehicle that has an auto stick, we can work on that for you. But this was a shocker here. This one was I don't know if I don't think it's an original, um like say a survivor rather. I think it's had some form of a restoration for sure. But this did really well. So pretty shocking there. It does have a dual port engine in it. 1970 would have been a single port 1600. So it has some chrome accents on it here. So this does look like it's definitely had work done to it. So it's not an original piece by any means. Um, but yeah, this did really well for a 70 Ghia convertible in the auto stick transmission. So that was a nice little surprise there on that one. And then here's another a 78 convertible, black with the white roof, 44,000. That's a really good price for that. And then we got a 57 oval, which is it's just pretty shocking that you see a late model Beetle like this, a 78, beating out a 57 oval or even like a split window that we saw. The split did 55, but these other later models are actually giving those cars a good run for their money too. And this was a really nice restoration too. Polar silver is a really cool color. I've had a couple of those come through our shop before. It's a really striking color, and if you do a really nice inside, I definitely love a burgundy or a red interior. That always works for me and my taste. Definitely has somewhat of a Vallone look here. You know what we do with the white walls and everything. Beautiful car. Yeah. And these ovals are becoming more and more rare, but it seems like some of these years, like it doesn't matter so much how early the car is anymore. I just think people want a good looking Volkswagen, regardless of the year now. I remember it was always a big thing to say, "Oh, I got a 50s car, I got a 51 split," or or you got an oval, that kind of thing. But I don't, from what I'm seeing, I don't know what your experience is, guys. If you want to leave a comment in the comment section below, and what is your take on what I just said? It just seems like some of these prices are pretty much not one, era is beating out the other per se. So interesting. And then this one, this 57 with the hard top, the polar silver, beat out the 57 rag top, which I don't, to me, that, a few years ago, no way. The rag top would have always scored better, at least 10, 15, maybe even 20% better than a hard top. And this is an attractive color, the ruby, red color with white walls. I mean, that's all bubblegum and pop. So interesting to see, it's one of those things. And then look, another Carmen Ghia auto stick. This is probably from a collection. 70 Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, and this is a coupe, and 34, just over 34,000. That's a really great price for something like that. So I don't want to make the video too long-winded. You guys can go see the results on Mecum's website. You would need to probably make an account to see the prices. Sometimes they don't show you the price if you don't have an account. But this is just the first page, and it's from the highest price and going down from here. So everything after page one here is going to be going below now 24,000. So 63 rag top to 27.5, pretty good there. So why don't we head over now to Barrett Jackson, just to point out some things here. I think the Barrett Jackson auction was even maybe a little weaker than some of Mecum's stuff. And you can see here, let's see, even these, the Type 2s were not crossing 100,000 even. So they've really come down and become now more affordable to the average guy out there. So this is funny. The Shorty Electric bus here did 70. So again, not correct by any means, but someone that just wants a cute, quirky looking Volkswagen for their collection. Even like this, the Acapulco condition, with the canopy top, that kind of thing. It's just the cute, quirky stuff is what people are looking for, it looks like. Now here's one, a notchback. Badass. I love notchbacks. Were not released in the United States. And this did 85.8. So very cool to see that. I definitely like that. But just again, a ton of Type 2 bus, and seems like they're kind of overwhelming the listings here now. Some late model Super Beetles here. It's like even a Beetle here. Super Beetle, $6,050. Here's another Type 2. A 72 for just under 13,000. A little more realistic numbers here in the teens is what generally where some of these things are. Now Haggerty, I got to point out, I had a consult with a client a few days ago. He wants to sell his Super Beetle convertible, and if you go to the Haggerty's website, which is the classic car insurance site, I don't know why, but their values for Volkswagens are absolutely through the roof. I don't know why they're so astronomical. They say they do monitor the auctions, but I'm not seeing that. Some of those numbers are really, really out there, and I mean they're quoting Volkswagens and convertibles over 100,000 on some occasions, and I don't know where they're getting those numbers from. On a very rare occasion, you might see that, but not all the time. So don't be thrown off with that. But yeah, I mean that's a nice looking 74, with a cab in the back. I mean, yes, it's a recreation and it's custom, but the amount of work and time that that person probably put into this vehicle, way more than the 52,000 that it went for. So I would, like my dad would always say, he probably lost his shirt on this one. That's what my dad would say. The paint job alone was most likely 20, 25 grand, maybe 30 grand for that paint job. So that's not including parts and of course labor and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, guys. So I will say, just to sum this all up and not make this too long-winded, it's things are probably a little status quo and or maybe even dipped a little more, which is a little bit to think about here. Of course, we want our cars to go up in value, but it seems like things have kind of leveled off. Love to get your take on it, guys, of what you think it is. Is the Volkswagen hobby, the attractiveness of these vintage cars, are they starting to wane? I don't have a crystal ball. A lot of people ask me those questions, and they're like, "Hey, Chris, how long do you think the popularity will be on our vintage Volkswagens?" And I don't have a crystal ball. I mean, I would love to see another good 10 years with these, and I would like to think that because these are international cars, or they were international cars, and they sold very well, and there's such high interest in them. But it's a really good question. Love to get your take on it, guys, and see what you guys think. So that's that. Now, the last one I want to point out is from the RM auctions, and it was a 67 Volkswagen Type 2 21 window deluxe with the sunroof, and that did sell for $145,600. Those were the numbers we used to see just a few years ago, and this one seems to be one of the exceptions here. And beautiful car, of course. This came out great. Not all original. I mean, there is a dual port engine in there. Looks like a 1600 dual port. 67 would have still had like that 1500. But yeah, I mean, last of this style of Type 2 was in 67, similar to the Beetle, last of the old style look, that kind of thing. And this is where the sweet spot is for a Type 2 bus as well, 67 and earlier, just like the Beetle, 67 and earlier. So very cool. Just wanted to go over that with you guys. I want to get your take on it, see what you guys think, what's going on with the market. It looks like it's still leveled, and it still hasn't really climbed, or looks like prices are very reasonable for someone who wants to jump in on something a little more affordable, especially if you want a Type 2 bus. So yeah, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and please leave your comments in the comment section below. Keep it civil and keep it nice, and no screaming at each other. And I don't need any fighting going on, but I never really see that anyway. So you guys are awesome. Love you guys to death, and yeah, I'll see you next time.